Hey, welcome to Build&AI. I'm Nia, your AI learning guide. Let's get into it.
All right, let's dive right into this explainer and stop a digital heist before it even happens. If you've been building apps that integrate with AI models, you absolutely know that magic feeling of getting that first response back from an API. It's awesome. But today, we're zooming in on a critical vulnerability that happens right at that exact moment of connection. We're going to learn how to lock away your Gemini API keys securely so you don't accidentally leave the front door wide open to quota thieves. So we've got a packed agenda today. We'll quickly cover the front-end security flaw, look at the serverless vault solution, build out your backend proxy, secure the Gemini API, and wrap up with a safe development workflow. Okay, Section 1, the front-end security flaw. Let's start with the root of the problem. If your API key is sitting anywhere in your JavaScript front-end, you are essentially taking the key to your bank account and pinning it to a public bulletin board. Now, a lot of developers think, hey, I can just hide my keys using build tools. But even if you minify your code for production, or you use bundlers like Veets to replace variables at build time, the literal string value of your API key is still injected directly into the final output. The variable name might change, sure, but the secret itself doesn't. Bottom line, obfuscation does not protect secrets. And this perfectly illustrates why you can never, ever store keys in the front end. Think about the environments for a second. Back-end node servers keep environment variables totally private, right? Because they run on a machine you control. The browser, on the other hand, has absolutely no secure environment variables. It downloads everything straight to the user's machine, which fully exposes you to malicious actors who would love nothing more than to run up massive bills on your account. Just to show you exactly how easy this is, literally anyone can hit F12, open their browser's DevTools, jump to the Sources tab, and just search for recognizable prefixes. Google keys always start with AISA, OpenAI starts with SK, Anthropic is SKAnt, you get the idea. There are automated bots scraping the web 24/7 looking for these exact strings. A bad actor or a bot can pull off a heist in milliseconds, using your quota to fund crypto mining or whatever else, sticking you with the bill before you've even finished your morning coffee. No way we're letting that happen. Section 2. The serverless vault solution. Let's fix this. So this brings us to a fundamental architectural question. If the front end can never hold the API key, how exactly does our chat application actually talk to the Gemini API? Well, we need a secure middleman. Enter Vercel Serverless functions. Instead of spinning up a dedicated node server that you have to configure, patch, maintain, and pay for 24/7, we're going to build an on-demand middleman. This acts as a secure vault that executes the exact second a request comes in, processes it, and then instantly shuts down. It scales automatically, and the best part? You pay absolutely zero for idle time. Just follow the flow of data here. It's pretty brilliant. First, the user's browser sends a message to your custom backend. Second, your backend securely retrieves the API key from its private vault, and it makes the call to Gemini. Finally, it relays the answer right back to the front end. Notice what's missing here. At no point does the API key ever travel to the user's browser. We've completely neutralized the security threat. Section 3. Building your backend proxy. Let's dive into the actual build and see how we construct this proxy using modern conventions. Vercel's magic really lies in its elegant simplicity. You don't need heavy, complicated routing files. Literally, by simply creating a folder named API at the root of your project and placing a file named chat.js inside it, you instantly create a live backend route accessible at /API/chat. That's the whole shebang. Now, inside this chat.js file, we export a default handler function. It takes rec and res parameters, kind of like express if you're used to that, and we do 3 critical things here. First, we validate the HTTP method to ensure we only accept post requests, returning a 405 error if we don't. Second, we extract the user's message from the request body. And third, we safely access our API key through node's process.env. But hey, before you hook up the real Google Generative AI SDK, here is a massive pro tip. Always test the complete infrastructure with a simulated mock response first. Just write a simple function that pauses for maybe half a second and returns a hard-coded string. This verifies your front end and back end are communicating flawlessly without burning through your actual API tokens while you debug, basic typos. Section 4. Securing the Gemini API. All right, once your proxy infrastructure is verified and working perfectly with that mock data, it is finally time to generate your real Gemini API key. You'll head over to Google AI Studio for this. Now, they do require you to enable billing to verify your account, which I know can sound a little scary, but when you do, Google provisions you with $300 in free cloud credits valid for 90 days. So this effectively makes your entire development cycle completely free since those credits are consumed long before your card is ever touched.
However, to fiercely protect those credits and your peace of mind, we need some financial tripwires. You absolutely must immediately jump into the Google Cloud Console and create a budget. Set it to something tiny, like $1 to $5. Then create alert thresholds at 50%, 90%, and 100% of that budget. And this is crucial. Make sure forecasted spend is checked. That way, you get an email notification long before the system even charges that first dollar.
Now, back in your local code, you'll be storing that shiny new API key in a .env file. But remember, that local file is only safe if you forcefully prevent Git from uploading it to your public GitHub repository. You've got to ensure your .env and .env local files are firmly listed in your .gitignore file before you even think about making your first commit.
This whole setup creates a really seamless workflow between your environments. When you're testing locally, just typing Vercel dev automatically detects and loads your hidden .env file. But when you deploy to production, Vercel securely injects those exact same environment variables straight from the settings you configured in your dashboard. It just works.
Section 5, the safe development workflow. Let's bring all these pieces together into a highly repeatable, production-ready checklist for all your future AI projects. Because, discipline is security. Doing things in this specific order, mock and verify your routes, then configure your keys and budget alerts, and only then integrate the live SDK prevents you from wasting tokens on broken code. It guarantees you have total financial control established before a live API key ever touches your source code. And when you do finally implement the real SDK in your serverless function, stick to the best practices. Use the incredibly lightweight and generous Gemini 2.5 Flash model for development to really stretch those credits. Always wrap your external API calls in try-catch blocks, so your serverless function doesn't violently crash if the AI service blinks for a second. And be a good backend citizen. Return explicit 200 status codes for success and clean 500 status codes for server errors, so your frontend can handle them gracefully.
Which brings us to the end. Your absolute final security check is honestly the simplest one. Deploy your app to production, open your browser's DevTools, go to the Sources tab, and search globally for your actual API key string. If you find nothing, congratulations. You have successfully secured your application behind a serverless vault. Which leaves me with one final question for you to ponder as you review your own code bases. If you've been putting API keys in the front end up until now, what other critical secrets might you be accidentally broadcasting to the world right now?
And that's a wrap for today. If this lesson was helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new episode. We drop 3 new lessons every single week, all designed to help you learn, build, and launch with AI. Share this with someone who's on the same journey, and I will see you in the next one.